don't trust nobody. In Hollywood specifically, when you get there, a lot of people don't know how to say no. That's the difference between New York City and California.
So civil complaint, simply allegations, needs to be proven in a court of law, but if true, it could rise to the level of criminality, and we'll see what happens after the DA looks and investigates.
The billion-dollar businessman is currently facing one of the most damaging charges of his professional life, and it's not about rivalries, tours, or charts this time. A growing body of court documents, affidavits, and hushed testimony presents Shan Carter as a business magnate who may have spent decades evading a secret that will not be kept hidden. The headlines are rolling like thunder. A lawsuit that dates back more than 10 years. The resuscitation of paternity claims, and a neglected son who is seeking answers. And the music becomes menacing as the camera pans in on those legal seals that have been stamped, because fame and fortune aren't the only things at risk here. It's the cornerstone of Jay-Z's history.
As you guys are coming in that you can hear me and see me, I'm pretty sure that you can. This is some exclusive tea that I got a little while.
At the center of it all is 31-year-old Ramir Satterthwaite, who has battled year after year to get the man he thinks is his father to recognize him. He is positioned against the Goliath of Rock Nation's equipment as the David in this tale. In a court filing, his deceased mother, Wanda, testified that she and Carter were together when she was only 16 years old. Additionally, his birth, in the summer of 1993, is intimately linked to the timeline. This was never about tabloid fame for Ree. He has repeatedly stated that it is about identity and the straightforward acceptance of reality. But each time he comes within a hair's breadth of having a paternity test ordered, he is thwarted, postponed, or obstructed by legal ploys that seem more like business strategy than family law. The documents paint a picture of ambiguity and inconsistency. He was told he was too old for the Pennsylvania courts to make decisions for him, despite the fact that property records in New Jersey connected Carter to several residences. His lawyers maintained that their client had no connections to the state. One attorney acknowledged that she used the phrase ownership, which carries the weight of fraud in legal circles, incorrectly. Appeals were often halted, processes ended in sealed records, and plaintiffs were sanctioned for purported violations that oddly lacked legal justification. According to Ree and his guardian, Dr. Lily Coley, the incident involved more than just paperwork. It was a planned attempt to prevent Jay-Z from ever having to give over a single strand of DNA or swab a cheek.
No felonies, I'm not crazy or none of that. It's like, I just want the truth, and it's so hard to get it from the courts. And it seems like Jay-Z don't want to say anything. So, I don't want to see him go down for something that you could have just got taken care of. That's it.
The narrative shifts from a melancholy to a menacing one at this point, because a DNA result proving Carter as the father would not simply modify one man's birth certificate. If Ramirez is correct and Wanda was truly underage when she became pregnant, it would force awkward discussions about age, permission, and power in the early years of Jay-Z's ascent and open up legal issues that date back 30 years. His team may have pushed so hard to keep the case buried because of that risk. Why the young man who wanted only clarity was crushed by motions, filings, and interminable legal gymnastics. And why courtrooms inexplicably slanted in his favor. However, someone who has never hesitated to douse a fire with gasoline enters this flammable mixture. 50 Cent for many years. Curtis Jackson has been pursuing Jay-Z, always as a man with a keen eye for blood in the water, but occasionally as a rival or a reluctant ally. With one troll after another, he has turned Ramirez's modest battle into a worldwide spectacle in recent months. However, there is a question that persists despite the memes and AI mock-ups. Is there anything that 50 Cent is aware of that we are not? His posts are much more than just jokes. He has connected Diddy's demise to Jay-Z's silence. He has alluded to courtroom secrets and implied that this is a cover-up on an empire level rather than only a family issue.
50's not to be
No, don't
50's not to be Fifth. Y'all don't even. Fifth is
Play around if you
different.
want to.
Fifth is different.
We chuckle at his conceit when he makes fun of Jay-Z for attending a red carpet event with Beyoncé, and Blue Ivy amid a flurry of accusations. The time, however, becomes apparent. Within hours of fresh files appearing on the docket, he posts quips. At the same time that lawyers verify false claims were made during previous hearings, he spins conspiratorial captions. Additionally, he asks questions during his podcast appearances that seem more like coded signals than comedic. Carter refuses to take a test. Why? And when documents indicate otherwise, why does every court decision go against his wishes? 50 presents himself as the loudmouth who uses humor to hide the hazardous truth, almost as if he is challenging the people to make the connection. Rumor has it that Roc Nation has a unique team, shadowy legal fixers who can persuade judges to take documents and who know how to stall cases until statutes of limitations quietly expire are quicker than clerks. The whisperers assert this is a pattern that is utilized again and not just one paternity fight. Once more, if delicate issues jeopardize the brand, the true foundation of Carter's billion-dollar domination, according to industry professionals, is this legal firewall, which is more resilient than garment lines and more potent than hit songs. And if that's the case, Reimer's lawsuit is more than just a danger to Jay-Z's defenses. The reason 50 Cent's involvement feels so intentional is because it threatens to reveal a whole system that is intended to keep the biggest people in the world untouchable. He has positioned himself as the unofficial narrator of Diddy and Jay-Z's fall from grace, but he has also made enemies of both of them. Giving voice to the unheard is the goal of his upcoming Diddy documentary series on Netflix. However, what if it also serves as a storehouse of evidence and a platform for revealing links that the courts have hidden? Despite all of his mocking, what if 50 Cent is going to turn the scandals into a new form of cultural currency? For months, he has been implying that there are tapes, that there is evidence, and that the same industry that made Jay-Z king is hiding secrets that might destroy the kingdom.
What I've heard about them as a couple is that they've been living separate lives for a very long time.
And we're left staring at the question that nobody wants to answer because they're too anxious. Will there finally be a DNA test if 50 Cent actually possesses the receipts and is able to bring the paternity scandal from the realm of whispered tales to the courtroom? Or does Jay-Z's empire, honed over decades of attorneys and fixers, once again smash those who accuse it? One person has stayed silent throughout it all, and her silence speaks louder than any press statement or denial. The queen of staged appearances, Beyoncé, who has the ability to transform a whisper into a global tour, has decided not to mention her husband's involvement at all. Additionally, that silence has generated conjecture of its own. Is this a prelude to the storm? A moment in which she holds off on moving forward until all angles have been measured? Or is it distance? A calculated action to protect her own crown from the consequences that would destroy their well-maintained facade of excellence. We can only speculate about the stress this must cause in the Carter home behind the glitzy photos and red carpet smiles. Blue Ivy's daughter is now old enough to read, scroll, and hear her classmates ask awkward questions. Silence at home may be much more difficult to maintain than silence in public, especially when those inquiries concern her father being drawn into whispered scandals and paternity cases. This is Beyoncé's razor edge. Strolls, she runs the danger of linking her brand to the issue if she intervenes too quickly. If she backs off too much, she could come across as aloof, uncaring, or even complicit. According to insiders, the Carters have been navigating the headlines with the help of crisis specialists. Furthermore, Beyoncé's silence may be a strategy rather than a sign of apathy. Nobody in the industry knows time as well as she does, and she is aware that once her voice is heard, it will have more impact than any lawyer could ever hope to hide in a sealed document. Will she finally decide to speak up and slant the entire story in one direction? Or will she remain silent for the duration? Beyoncé's quiet leaves fans wondering, yet the sound of 50 Cent only gets louder. The game has included his jokes, memes, and unexpected outbursts of commentary. However, there is now industry talk of something much more harmful than an Instagram post. He has alluded to significant receipts, a term that typically connotes bank transfers, screenshots, or documentation in hip-hop rumors. However, what if the proof isn't even paper? What if a witness is still alive? There was someone who witnessed Jay-Z and Wanda together in the early 1990s, a witness who could attest to the chronology, and who could unequivocally state that the tale Ramir has been struggling to tell is fact rather than fiction.
Weirdo. Don't get no what you got in your head, that neural link. You'll never outthink me.
Since it is more difficult to bury a living person than a sealed record. The rumor of a concealed witness is the type that is difficult to ignore. According to some insiders, 50 Cent has already located one, a member of Philadelphia's music scene who recalls interactions that Jay-Z would prefer to remain anonymous. Others speculate that it may be a former co-worker from the early days of Rockefeller who has been silent for decades, but may be persuaded to come out now in exchange for security and a Netflix limelight. 50 is engaged in a media war, and if even half of this is accurate, he is not only trolling. The timing of Jay-Z's resurrected paternity dispute is quite odd, as it coincides with Diddy's extensive legal meltdown. Dozens more identities have already come to light as a result of federal raids, sealed indictments, and rumors of decades-long wrongdoing. The fact that the late 1990s and early 2000s, the time frame being examined by investigators, also coincides with Wanda's sworn statements regarding Jay-Z, is what worries industry experts. There is an unsettling question raised by the overlap. Even though the two cases are formally distinct, may they start to resemble one another in public opinion courts, and possibly even in legal discovery.
I think that they don't want, if they was in any of those freak-off tapes, if they played a part in any of those Diddy sessions, they don't want it to get out to the general public to make a...
According to reports, investigators have taken years' worth of documents from Diddy's residences, including handwritten notes and visitor lists. And there may be more in those archives than anyone realizes. Should names, dates, or correspondence associated with Wanda or her group come to light, it would link Diddy's already poisonous accusation dossier to Jay-Z's private paternity issue. During those years, the two guys were inseparable. They shared overlapping crews, worked in the same studios, and attended the same parties. Once hailed as brothers, that intimacy now appears to be more of a liability. Prosecutors often weave seemingly unrelated accusations into a larger conspiracy or business case, according to legal scholars. Jay-Z may be mentioned in passing in one of Diddy's side's secret documents, not because he was a key player, but because he was present in the room and in orbit. And that would be all it would take to bring his name closer to the spotlight. The risk and stakes are raised much beyond family drama when a private lawsuit concerning parentage abruptly becomes evidence in a federal inquiry.
After that major documentary comes out on Diddy, then you're going to start to hear more and more about Jay-Z and his nefarious past.
When we take into account rumors of common legal defenses, the conspiracy angle becomes more sinister. Both moguls were said to have relied on overlapping networks of private investigators, fixers, and lawyers for years. These groups were experts at stealing documents, threatening witnesses, and influencing stories before they were published. Diddy's empire and the firewall Jay-Z has used to thwart. Rhee's demands may both fall apart if investigators uncover even a small portion of those relationships. Some insiders privately believe that Jay-Z's paternity case may not continue because of the potential for a cascading effect, secluded for a long time. The symbolic significance of their friendship cannot be overlooked either. Diddy and Jay-Z personified the idea of two men who ascended together and transformed their street reputation into boardroom power for decades. One empire is now in danger of guilt by association as the other is collapsing under the weight of indictments. When compared to today's headlines, the picture of Jay-Z toasting a joyful drink next to Diddy at Billionaire Brunches takes on a far more sinister significance in a society where appearances are just as important as proof. Conspiracy theories that their histories are connected in ways that even devoted fans don't want to consider are fueled by such images.
Why does it all come to a head now? Why now? Why?
Because he's the acceptable monster at this time, like R. Kelly was the last time I sat on this couch.
So who's next?
Y'all don't see the lineup?
Yeah, we see the.
The possible overlap might be disastrous if Seville. Lawyers or prosecutors choose to look further. Witnesses gathered against Diddy might begin to remember events, exchanges, or relationships that made Jay-Z a target as well. Even if he has no direct illegal connections, the scandal of his closeness could destroy his well-preserved reputation as hip-hop's infallible strategist. Therefore, the paternity dispute is about more than simply a single father and his son. It might be the opening that allows investigators to see inside a much darker, wider web that links the most influential figures in the field. Not to mention the timing. The rumor of a witness suddenly takes on the form of a ticking clock, precisely. As federal charges are closing in on Diddy and Jay-Z's name is being pulled into civil papers. Picture the scene in the courtroom. One person's statement, "I was there," blew away years of sealed papers, denied motions, and jurisdictional games. "I observed it." There is the most tantalizing prospect of all, because it would be the kind of bombshell that no billion-dollar legal team could ignore. Is 50 Cent planning to use this testimony as the focal point of his next endeavors? Transforming a personal conflict into a seismic shift in culture. It's truly a conspiracy if the same individual repeatedly reaps the rewards of the same type of disaster. The stakes are really high. Jay-Z believes that trust, in addition to music, is the foundation of his empire. Trust from partners, companies, and fans who view him as the self-made tycoon who went from Marcy Projects to become the world's most powerful person. Should that trust be broken? Should the paternity controversy combine with the no number of platinum medals or billionaire? Breakfasts will protect him if he causes bad consequences and pulls the Carter family further into the muck. Additionally, Beyoncé may quickly perceive the quiet as a trap rather than a tactic. Because even the queen is unable to separate herself from her king's demise once the storm breaks. As the questions grow, we see the walls closing in. Is this paternity dispute merely a young man's frantic identity quest? Or is it the first rift in a secretive dynasty? Will Beyoncé at last take a stand and protect the family image? Or will she let the quiet do the talking? And what happens when the truth is revealed if 50 Cent actually possesses the witness, the receipts, and the living evidence?
After they are done with Diddy, Jay-Z is up next to be exposed.
There is little doubt that this is not the end of the tale, not even close. The scene is set for discoveries that have the potential to upend entire cultures, destroy reputations, and alter the balance of power in hip-hop. We must thus wonder if the greatest closely held secret in music history is about to be revealed. Or will Jay-Z's multi-billion-dollar empire once again obliterate every obstacle in its way? This story is far from over, so please share your thoughts in the comments section. Stay alert and inquisitive till the next time, and we'll see you in the next